Hey, everybody, it is Trags, Mike Petralia, back with the latest episode of the JungleRoar podcast. The JungleRoar podcast is powered by the FanDuel Sportsbook, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. My pleasure to bring back in the one and only Geoff Hobson of Bengals.com as we celebrate and look forward to the first game of the 2023 NFL season. Bengals and Browns, it's an arch rivalry, unlike any other in the National Football League, I believe. And I want to get, first of all, your feelings on that, Butch, as we look forward to the season opener.
Trags, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for having me on. It's an
Yes.
honor to be on with you on opening day, and thank you for asking me.
I want to get your perspective on how Joe Burrow is, in your estimation, handled all of the contract negotiations, all of the distraction talk from the end of last year when that AFC championship ended. Everybody knew that the contract or an extension certainly would be a focal point of the offseason. I think Joe Burrow has done the best to try and address it early in the offseason, and then he and his agent, Brian Arol of CAA, have done a good job, and the Brown and Blackburn families have done a very good job of keeping quiet and keeping everything private.
Yeah, I think, Trags, we don't know anything, and to me, that tells me that Burrow has done quite well with all these, and I don't even know if it's a distraction to him. It's probably not. I'm sure the calf was more of a distraction than all this other stuff going on, and I think we're all pretty much in the dark on the Burrow stuff. You know what I mean? I think it's which again is a testament to everybody trying to keep this thing locked up. And he makes himself he makes it known that he doesn't like the attention. I mean, the last time we saw him, he was asking about a Hobson documentary, and then he kind of disappeared. Then he disappeared.
Yes.
So I
did. And you would be the Hobson, by the way, for the record, he was referring to.
Right. But I mean, from what we've seen, Trags, and I'd like to get your opinion. I mean, and we've only seen a very limited part of practice. We don't see what we see in training camp. But I mean, to me, he looks like he's ready to go. I mean, you talk to the guys who are practicing with him, they seem to think he looks good.
Well, what I look for, Butch, in watching him in the limited amount of time now we get to watch him in practice, now that training camp is over, he's able to move a little bit to his right and to his left. We have not seen him sprint. We've not seen him go full speed, but that doesn't mean he hasn't done that, at least in 7-on-7s now. I believe Wednesday will be the first day where he actually gets in 11-on-11 full team drills, because on Monday, Labor Day Monday, they went through a walkthrough and then they went through a shorts and shells practice. So that really wasn't a full scale practice. Wednesday, that would be, tomorrow, as they get ready for the Cleveland Browns. I would expect him to really, if he's going to play Sunday, which I anticipate him playing, I would expect him to be in 11-on-11 drills. That's the key thing to look for.
It sounded like on Thursday he was in some kind of a abbreviated version of 11-on-11. Maybe it was 9-on-11. They didn't want the edge people. They didn't want people around his legs.
Right.
But Trags, this, you've seen enough games in this rivalry since Myles Garrett's been around. This game may be decided on how he can avoid Garrett and Zadarius Smith. So so Wednesday and Thursday I think are probably going to be key. I don't think Zach Taylor is kidding around when he says it's day to day. I think he'd probably like to see how he can maybe get away from Myles Murphy and some of those edge guys who are on the scout team. Right. And then multiply that by a little bit more because it's one of the greatest rushers who ever lived. So, I think Wednesday and Thursday are going to be pretty interesting.
I do too. Now getting back to another Joe Burrow related issue. He's one of the 6 captains that were selected by the Bengal players on Monday morning. No surprise there. He's been a captain, Butch, right, all 4 years that he's been with the Bengals. And I think that's pretty remarkable to come in as a rookie, be elected a captain, and remain a captain of the offense. I mean, it is Joe Burrow. He's the franchise. But to be elected as a captain as a rookie is something special.
Yeah, talk about continuity. They not only have continuity with the coaches, they have continuity with the captains, except, The only difference is Mike Hilton
Mike Hilton.
replaces Von Bell. Other than that, and they don't have a special teams captain. So, but he's still around. The incumbent special teams captain is still around on the practice squad, still leading, Mike Thomas. So, talk about continuity, and I think that's just another reason why. Been talking to some people about this. The continuity for the coaching staff, that should stand as one returning All-Pro player. That's worth one returning All-Pro player. The returning captains, to me, that's another returning All-Pro player. So when they go into games against, Cleveland's very excited about their defense. They've signed a lot of guys, Darius Smith, for example, but it's their first year in Jim Schwartz's system. It's the first game in Jim Schwartz's system.
Right.
Advantage, Bengals. Even though Burrow's got a calf, he's been in the same system. Week 2, Lamar Jackson, he's in a new offense. Advantage, Bengals. He's going up against the Lou Anarumo defense. Okay, they got 2 starting safeties, but that is offset by everybody else is back and has been in the thing for at least 3 years.
Well, and I would also say, and we don't know the situation as we record this going forward, but Denzel Ward has been in concussion protocol. That is a huge factor going into Sunday's game. So we'll see what happens there. And another thing to keep in mind, and I always emphasize this going in against a pass rush heavy concentrated team, you got to be able to run the ball. I do believe the Bengals have made a concerted effort with the restructuring of their offensive line. You had a terrific piece on Orlando Brown Jr. He's going to be a big factor this year, not only in pass protection, but the run game as well. And I do think you're going to see more of a concerted effort with Jonah Williams switching from the left to the right side to really people move along up front and get the running game going.
Yeah, I agree with you, Trags. I think the Browns have a formidable front. Like I said, they got Darius Smith they signed, and Garrett. I mean, Garrett, that's the best pass rusher that's ever been opposite Garrett. They've got two solid. They got Tomlinson in at one tackle. They got 2 new tackles. They rotate 4. So I think they're gonna be formidable. I don't think this is the kind of game where, especially since the offense hasn't, we don't really know, but the offense hasn't been out there together. Of course, they weren't out there last year in the preseason either, so we don't know. But, the best way to kind of get the dust off, get the cobwebs off, maybe run it a little bit and get everybody kind of, maybe
you have to win. Yeah, not to interrupt you, Butch. You have to win first down. And I think this has been a point of effort. People talk about getting the run game going has been a point of emphasis. I think winning first down is a bigger deal than even getting the run game going. You have to make 2 to 3 to 4 yards on your first downs, set it up second and manageable, not second and long, because that changes the tenor of the entire series of downs when you don't get the run game going or you don't get positive yardage, even a quick screen pass or what have you on first down.
Well, that was the big thing last year, right? Was Mixon, checking it down to Mixon on first down. That was big, right? That was something I think that was talked about, those second
and that's why Butch,
that's
why Joe Mixon set a new personal record for career receptions and receiving yards in a season. Yes, his run numbers were down, there's no questioning that, but there are other ways to use Joe Mixon if they're going to come at you pass heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a weapon. I mean, I think he's everybody looks at his rushing numbers, and I look at the receiving yards too, and he's damn near 95, 100 a game, especially down the stretch. If you combine his rushing and his catch, and the yards per might not be great, but I mean, yards are yards, and you can write him in for 95 a game, dual purpose. And, I think that's a lot of those plays on first down. I think you were exactly right. I thought that was a big thing last year. They were in a lot more 2nd and 3s, than they had been the year before.
He is Butch Hobson of Bengals.com, Geoff Hobson of Bengals.com, if you will. We call him Butch because of his Boston roots, and we can get into that in a little bit. But he does a great job covering the Cincinnati Bengals for Bengals.com. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. Why? The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. How many yards will Joe Mixon have this weekend in the opener against the Cleveland Browns? You can certainly find that on FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. NFL Sunday Ticket offer ends September 18th, 2023. No refunds. Terms and embargoes apply. $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket, not YouTube TV. YouTube TV base plan required to watch YouTube TV. Redemption requires a Google account and current form of payment. Commercial use excluded. Subscription renews and cancel anytime. Back with Geoff Hobson of Bengals.com. You did a terrific piece, I thought, an interview with Mike Hilton on why, yes, he is a captain in name now, finally, officially, but he's really always been a kind of captain for the Bengals in his time here in Cincinnati. I noted that in my video from Monday. I talked about it or wrote about it in my Bengals beat on clnsmedia.com. And you really illuminated that and highlighted that in your conversation with Mike Hilton.
Yeah, thanks, Trags. I appreciate you for noting the interview. Yeah, I mean, I think we all, Trags. I mean, he's a go-to guy
He
in the
is.
locker room, and he's went back and I read a story I wrote after the AFC divisional when he was just all over the place, and I went back and he broke down the plays so even even adult like me could understand it about what he was talking about how I mean, he's so smart, and you know like I say, it's kind of funny, yeah, they put the C on his jersey, but he certainly has had that, and I think that's the great thing about the locker room. I mean, they have these votes for captain, but I'm sure Zach Taylor can look a lot. He's certainly going to look at a guy like Orlando Brown and consider him a captain, or a guy like T. Higgins, or some of these guys who maybe aren't as vocal, or but they've certainly are leaders as well. And Hilton's, what a great story Hilton is, right? Like he said it, from undrafted to captain of a Super Bowl potential team. Great
Well,
story,
it's a great story. Anybody like you and me who has ever dealt with Mike Hilton in the locker room, and you're always cutting off my interviews with guys in the locker room, so I appreciate that. That's a joke. That is a joke for the record, Butch, just so you understand.
I know.
You and me have had great conversations with Mike Hilton, just mano a mano. He will, like you say, illuminate a particular play that happened in a game that was particularly pivotal, or he'll reference a play that maybe you weren't paying attention to and say, I noticed something about, last year, Cam Taylor-Britt, the way he was leveraging a certain receiver. We went up, we talked for about 5 minutes, and those kind of players are invaluable in a young secondary. And you have Cam Taylor-Britt, second year in the NFL. He's now going to be a starting left cornerback for the Bengals going into the year, opposite Cheeto Awuzie. You've got DJ Turner. You've got DJ Ivy. You've got a lot, and you got Dax Hill, obviously, in his second year as a starting safety. You've got so many young players, and to have guys like a Mike Hilton and certainly Cheeto, who is a veteran in the NFL, back there in the secondary as a go-to me is invaluable. It can really help you while you're on the field. Yeah,
I think that's why the loss of Von Bell and Jesse Bates III is cushioned by guys like Hilton and Awuzie, who have they've Hilton made when Jesse tipped it to Vaughn for the interception in the overtime in the AFC Championship game in 21. Hilton forced that because of where he Hilton communicated what he was doing, and he forced that route, he forced that to happen.
Great point.
And now, so I think he'll do that with Hill and Hill and Scott's. They're bright guys. I think Hill is really, Hill is a guy who runs a 4.3. He's got great range. Every time he's on the field, he does something. I really think he's got a high ceiling, and of course Nick Scott has that championship ring that the Bengals almost had, so he brings that experience to it. And no, you're right, Trags. This is the youngest team Zach Taylor's ever had. I think it's the third youngest in the league. Uh, they're the same age. They average their average. I think their average age is 25.4, and that was younger than the Browns' youngest age was last year. So they're young. They got the best of both worlds. I mean, they got a young.
I would
club,
agree with that.
They got a young club, but yet they're surrounded by all these by guys like Mike Hilton.
I will tell you that, in my humble opinion, having followed this franchise for a good 53 of my 57 years on the planet,
Yep.
This is the most talented and deepest roster the Cincinnati Bengals have ever had. I don't think that's hyperbole. I think it's legit. I think that's why there are so many Super Bowl expectations if number 9 stays on the field. And I don't look, I know the term Super Bowl or bust for this 2023 Bengals team has been thrown out there. I understand why that would be, because of a lot of veteran players on defense who, they may be entering their final season with the Bengals. But to me, and having covered the Patriots, and I will drop it right here, you lose players in the National Football League. You lose great players, but that doesn't mean your window for championships diminishes or starts to close. And that's what Joe Burrow was talking about when he said, as long as I'm here, the championship window is open.
Yeah. And not to be crass about it, you got to draft your ass off, and because you got to be paying rookie contracts. You just can't. The days of going out and giving a guy like Trey Hendrickson $60 million are gone.
Right.
Giving DJ Reed $53 million are gone. Orlando Brown $64 million. They're gone. You're not going to be able to do it, and you have to. You're gonna have to find you're gonna have to keep finding Cordell Volsons and T. Higgins and that's just the way. That's just the reality. And they have. I mean, they've dominated the 20s in the draft, I think. I mean, 2021, they drafted Jamar Chase and Evan McPherson. It may end up being the greatest at their position for the franchise. The 2020 draft, will they ever be able to top that again? Burrow, Higgins, Wilson, one Pro Bowler and 2 guys that could be, 2020, may end up being 2020, 23. This draft may end up being better, maybe than all of them, maybe except for 2020. If the way DJ Turner and DJ Ivy look,
big expectations for DJ Turner. I think he's super fast. I think he knows how to use his speed, turn his hips. Like Cam. Cam Taylor-Britt's speed is different. It's more explosive, I think. I think DJ Turner, the second, has more straight line speed, but it's exceptional straight line speed. And I think fans, if he gets on the field, or if there's a need for him to get on the field and spell some snaps this year, you're going to see it.
Natural cover guy. He's about as natural cover guy as I've seen these guys have. I mean, maybe since Leon Hall. He turns his hips. Yep. I mean, he got great makeup speed. How many times did we see this spring at camp and said, oh my God, Chase or Higgins has strafed him, but boom, he's back there contesting, knocking down the ball. I mean, really, he's good. I mean, he, that combine best
4.27, correct?
Yeah,
4.28, something like that.
4.27. I think you're right. They weren't lying. Whatever it is, it's for sure. And and DJ Ivy, you barely heard of this kid. He got on their radar kind of late, I think.
University of Miami.
Yeah, had a great pro day. And Lou Anarumo was down there along with the scouts, and they both agreed. I mean, Lou liked the way the guy moved around, and they brought him in. He was one of their 30 visits. He was one of their 30 pre-draft visits, to get them. And they loved the guy when they met him. And I really think they might have stole one there in the 7th round.
All right, we're going to wrap up here, Butch, talking about again some defensive players. One would be Cheeto Awuzie. Your expectations for him getting back on an NFL field this Sunday, the same field that he tore his ACL last Halloween on, and how much the Bengals might miss Joseph Ossai if he's not able to go.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I mean, I love Osai. I think Osai is a hell of a player. The
Yep.
first guy off the bench, the first pass rusher off the bench, just hate it. It's a tough guy to lose. You know, Awuzie comes back, and who knows how he's going to be. I mean, this guy, Awuzie, he has been. I mean, ever since he came over from Dallas, he's been great. I mean, he's been their flat out #1 pure cover corner. Should have gone to the Pro. I mean, this guy plays at a Pro Bowl level. Is he going to be that way in the opener? Hard to tell. I mean, you don't know. They say, you never really over an ACL until another year. You know what I mean? But I just think Awuzie is so smart and he's so athletic that I think they'll be. I think he might not be the Awuzie that he was the last 2 years. He might need to knock a little rust off, but I think by 3 or 4 games in, I think he'll be fine. But it's a great question, Trags. It's why the opener is the most mystifying game of the year.
It certainly is. They would like to win this, as they have not won there since 2017. Is that correct? I believe.
I think Mixon had a big day, I think, and it's before they got back. I think it was pre-Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah, and the Bengals had gone a stretch there in the 2010s where they couldn't lose in Cleveland, and then Cleveland finally turned things around, and now the Bengals haven't won there in 5 years. So, right. I hesitate to make too much of the first 2 games. I know they're division games. I know Baltimore at home, by many Bengal fans' standards, is a must-win. You got to have that one at home, and I understand that feeling. But last year taught us a lot about the fact that, this Bengal team's talented, and even when things don't go well, they believe in how good they are. And that's really critically important to have in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think, and for some reason, even though it's one extra game, it seems like it's more than that. And it just seems like it's such a long slog that I disagree with Charlie Weiss. I don't think a game in September counts as much as it does. A win in September isn't the same as a win in December. I disagree with that. I think a win in December is worth 2 or 3 times more. As you said, last year they went 0-3 in the division. Now, you know what? That's a tough way to live. Go down.
No, of course.
And have to win 10 straight.
It's also why it's the 0-2 start and the 1-3 start, or whatever it was. I'm sorry. They went 2-2 and then 2-3 and then 4-4. That's why they didn't host the AFC Championship. And that's first and foremost. Winning the division, of course, for a third straight time, which, as you've pointed out many times on Bengals.com, would be the first time in the 21-year history, I believe, right? 21-year history.
2002, right? Yeah.
Would be the first time that would be a great feather in their cap. But the bigger objective here, Butch, is to get home field advantage throughout.
Get the seat. No, I mean, this place has turned into a terrific home field. I mean, what they've done with Elizabeth Blackburn and her staff have done, turning this into a venue, has been amazing. And you get this place packed. I mean, Trags, you were there. You would know better than I, far better than I, but you were at Riverfront in the great days.
Yep.
And it got loud, and you can compare it. Tell me. I would imagine this.
I will tell you, the loudest I've ever heard a Bengal game was the Raider game. Game at the end, Jermaine Pratt's interception. I don't think there's a game that compares. I know the Bills game, the AFC Championship game, was great, but that was kind of a blowout, 21-10 in '88. The Freezer Bowl, place had 42,000 people trying to stay alive and cheer. Yeah, they were loud, but they had gloves on and all kinds of hooded stuff on for the Freezer Bowl. And
it was too cold to cheer.
It almost was. So I do believe that game against the Raiders was the loudest any Bengal game has ever been. And there have been other great games in that building, but that's the loudest.
So you got to get it back. So can you imagine what it would be for an AFC Championship game?
It would be incredible.
Yeah. And there you have it. Trags, you lived it, so you've heard it.
By the way, 1A certainly on that list would be the fumble return. Sam Hubbard's fumble in the jungle. What are they calling it? What did we agree on?
I think is it the Rumble in the Jungle or no?
Rumble in the Jungle. Sam Hubbard's Rumble in the Jungle probably would almost match Jermaine Pratt's interception, I would say.
Yeah. That's I mean, I'm working in my office, and it's shaking. the outside of the glass is shaking. And so and I know something's happening because I'm listening on the radio and I'm watching on TV, and it's a little beat behind, but I can hear the roar. And I know if something good or bad is going to happen, which is good because I can get set up
Right.
and kind of expect what it is. But that I had never heard anything like that Hubbard roar. It was almost it was a subhuman almost. It was not of the human race. I don't know what the sound was, but it was like between a jet engine and I don't know. It
A
was
rock and a Taylor Swift concert. How's that? How's that for something modern that is relevant?
I would have gone
Two old
Eagles.
guys that's covering the
Yeah,
NFL that are covering the NFL.
yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Well, I tell you what, this has been this is a great lesson for young guys trying to get into the business. Trags, you're doing it all. You're the engineer.
Yeah.
You're reading the commercials. You're doing the content, and then you're going to write about it. So to me, you are the classic. I hope kids are taking notes on you because you're what this thing's all about. Do a hell of a job.
I appreciate you very much, Butch, and right back at you. He is Butch Hobson, Geoff Hobson of Bengals.com, does a terrific job covering the club. Opening day, he will certainly be in Cleveland. That is the plan, covering the Bengals 2023 season opener. Be sure to read his stuff on Orlando Brown Jr., as well as his conversation with Mike Hilton, both on Bengals.com. Correct, Butch? I got it all in there?
Rex, that's tremendous. Thank you very much. I'll give you the 20. I'll give you the $20 later. I'll write it off. But
We'll have an adult beverage. We'll split the funds and have an adult beverage in Cleveland.
I appreciate it very much. I will not tell Happy Chandler you were doing all these betting reads. Happy Chandler was a commissioner of baseball. And
Happy Chandler also did not have to worry about different internet and media outlets and didn't have as many bills to pay. So that's how I would answer that.
Governor of Kentucky, actually, right? A former governor of Kentucky.
Yes,
right?
Indeed.
And Judge Kennesaw Mountain, Ohio native. Commissioner Landis, Ohio native.
Where did you say he was from?
I believe Millville, I think.
Millville.
Right outside Oxford, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure people will email and text and instant message and tweet and do everything and TikTok me on the correct answer. All right. He's Geoff Hobson. I'm going to let him go. My name is Mike Petralia. This has been the Jungle Roar podcast, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Until next time, keep that jungle roaring.